folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered individuals. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered individuals. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in miseries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in miseries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in miseries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in miseries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in miseries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in miseries gloom.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in miseries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in miseries gloom.
Good evening, everyone. We'll start by setting a proper motivation, which consists of 3 parts. First is refuse me. For that, visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, and all other enlightened beings who are the source of inspiration for you to shun all your miseries and acquire maximum happiness for yourself and for all dear Mother sentient beings. Don't forget how to visualize them as your very kind mother, looking upon you with immense kindness and unconditional love, as a mother looks upon her only child. Next is the Bodhicitta feet. For that, visualize your 2 kind parents seated on either of your 2 sides, your mother on the left and father on the right, and you are accompanied by all dear Mother sentient beings. Imagine that you are leading them into this practice. Next is the purpose of this practice, which is to manifest the Buddha nature, the ultimate source of happiness within each one of us by removing the true mental obscurations, the gross afflictive obscurations and the subtle cognitive obscurations. Gross afflictive obscuration consisting of afflictions, contaminated karmas and their active seeds, and the subtle cognitive obscurations, which are the inactive seeds of the afflictive obscurations. With this purpose in mind, we'll recite from page 3 of the Blaze. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Kangi tutse nirsumne tawa thamche pampeche thampe choni tunze pe Gautam dhela chak selo. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. Kami tensim delvarjum, kapa mepa ke mepa, chepa mepa tak mepa, homa mepa do mepa, kade dunmin dunchitmin, tropa neshe shitelpa, zope sanghe manam ki, kampa dhela chak selu. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all needs lead seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subduers expound a variety of teachings. Nendo Shiva Tsolam Kunshe Niki Neshe Chise Kainda Jola Pemper Jena Milamshe Niki Jikten Donjuk Sepa Kha Kanda Yanga Tempe Tugnam Nampa Kunden Nakso Disumpa Nendo Chancho Sempe Soche Sanghe Gini Yunde La Chak Selo. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. Senior Gyupa Jola Penshepa, Tyompa Teshik Jobla Chak Selo. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever nobilized rays. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Tope Java Nansel Jin, Sakchi Gelche Gungawa, Kuntu Sampo Oseda, Kune Chula Chakselo. I go for refuge until I am enlightened through the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened through the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened through the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodam Sogi Chonamla, Chancho Bhardo Tagni Kyapsochi, Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonamgi, Jola Penche Sangye Chuparshu. Sangye Chodam Sogi Chonamla, Chancho Bhardo Tagni Kyapsochi, Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonamgi, Jola Penche Sangye Chuparshu. Sangye Chodam Sogi Sonamla, Chancho Bhardo Tagni Kyapsochi, Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonamgi, Jola Penche Sangye Chuparshu. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Jananebo mantra. Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Tesham Tathagato Yavata Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanae Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavata Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanae Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavata Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite, such as the nectar light dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into the woods. Sabshi Trode Lose Duma Jil, Dushi Tabe Shushin Kumonge, Sula Shekan Gover Minu Pe, Nima Naki Natsuni Parcha. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times, I pay obeisance. Masum Jome Shera Parojin, Make Miga Namke Momoni, Susu Rani Yishe Chulpa, Dusum Gerve Yum Lachak Serlo. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the source of all. In the Guru, Lama Sangye Lama Chu, Deshin Lama Gindumte, Ungi Jepo Lama In, Lama Namla Chak Serlo. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expansive billions of eons. Shula Jimbo Jai Ini, Sechen Dungel Targi Jin, Delpa Jirwa Samyesu, Shuden Vijik Suksu. The Buddha does not wash the negativities of the beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. Tunam Bipa Chui Mitrushin, Robe Dungel Chakin Misella, Niki Topa Shena Pomente, Shoni Dimpa Tepe Doba Guru. With holy hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom. Shunam Punki Sangela, Thelmo Charte Solvari, Simchin Dungel Nantumla, Choki Drome Partusto. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Sedi Lashena Chopamin, Kolo Lashena Nijungmin, Rangha Lashena Changsengmin, Zimpa Chuna Tawamin. Please turn to page 14. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the fourth destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sudhaka, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subdued from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When as supreme humans you were born on this earth, you faced the 7 strides that said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom motion like a golden mountain, him that blazes in the 3 worlds, bringer of the best Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Just free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realization, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual apparition, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the 4 of worlds, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death.
mantra, Heart Sutra mantra.
Please turn to page 31, Heart Sutra mantra. We'll recite it for 7 times.
Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhiswatyata. 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 Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhiswatyata.
Okay. There are some questions from the first half of chapter 6 from the online participants, and if there are questions from the participants here also, you can also bring up the questions. Okay, first let me read the first question. What I mentioned in the class, it reads, object appearing intrinsically as a viewed which is different from the viewer, a viewed which is different from the viewer, and comes in contact with the viewer. Last semester, if I recall correctly, the moment we project something, we're already projecting objective existence. Is it correct to say the first statement explains why the moment we project, we're already projecting objective existence? Is it correct to say that projecting and projecting objective existence are simultaneous? Okay, this is a question. This is a very good question, very serious question. Okay, so what is said is, to make it very simple, how the mind interacts with the world. So what the first thing that we need to keep in mind is that everything is mentally imputed according to Prasangika. Everything is mentally imputed, meaning that everything is projection of one's own mind. Which mind? Sensory or the mental? It's a mental, conceptual mind. And then the next question is, the conceptual mind, it affects the sensory mind, it affects all the direct mental consciousness as well. In other words, the conceptual mind is the one which projects intrinsic reality, and that affects all other the mental states. For example, like eye consciousness, all the sensory consciousnesses, while they don't project objective existence, but objective existence, then the things appear to all other minds as intrinsically real, as objectively real, except for the non-dual wisdom of emptiness. Okay, this is the point. Then the thing is, when we say there's a flower there, eye consciousness or the mental consciousness, when we say there's a flower there, flower. So when we say the flower, we already project the flower. So that we don't say that eye consciousness project the flower, but our mental consciousness project the flower. So meanwhile, the sense consciousnesses, they are so much influenced by the self-grasping ignorance that the moment the eye consciousness comes in, the moment the eye consciousness meet with the flower, automatically the flower appears as object really. Okay, this is one thing. Now, when we say that there's a flower there, we project the flower, projecting the flower and projecting intrinsic flower. Are these two simultaneous? This is the question. So the answer is yes. Answer is yes. Projecting the flower and projecting the intrinsic flower. For the Buddhas, how the Buddha sees the flower and how we see the flower is different. For example, let's say that the say person A and person, okay, let's say Lokesh, your mother, what's your mother's name?
Nirmal. Miss Nirmal.
Miss Nirmalji. Okay, let's say that Lokesh looks at Miss Nirmalji and sees as my mother. So where all others, when we look at Lokesh, okay, mother with respect to Lokesh, it's not that we are not projecting her as the mother, we are projecting her as mother with respect to Lokesh. But Lokesh will not say is mother with respect to me. He will not say this, mother, my mother. Okay, this is how Lokesh project, and how we see her as a mother with respect to somebody. It's more like indirect. So likewise, the sentient beings, they project things the way Lokesh sees as my mother. This is that projection and projection of the intrinsic objective things. These two are done simultaneously. Then the Buddha's mind perceiving a flower, it is like, okay, this is a flower with respect to the sentient beings. The way we see the Miss Nirmalji as mother with respect to Lokesh. It's not that the Buddha himself projected as a flower, but it's a flower with respect to sentient beings. So this is how the Buddha perceives the conventional phenomena. Okay, and for that, finally, what can really help us? We have to learn all these things, these technicalities. Meanwhile, after studying the self-essence of person, see how much we can get a glimpse of emptiness. Get a glimpse of emptiness that things don't really exist the way they appear to me. That conviction, that experience, little experience must come to us. Once that comes to us, then on that basis we can see that, okay, things don't really exist the way they appear to me. It's just projection from my mind. And so this projection, how is that a projection? So from the object nothing is really there, but I see, which means the object nothing is there. I see means it is purely acting from the subject. So that is the conviction that we'll gain. Otherwise, of course, we have to first learn the technicalities. So this is a projection, and when you project a flower, you also project the objectively existent flower, and so forth. These we have to learn. Then how is that the case? So these we have to get some experience of emptiness. On that basis, then everything will be sorted out very clearly. Okay, this is one thing. And then, so we speak about the non-dual wisdom of emptiness and the dualistic mind. Non-dual mind and the dualistic mind pertaining to Prasangika. Non-dualistic, so the direct experience of emptiness is not like emptiness is there and your mind is there. I'm seeing the emptiness. When that happens, it becomes dualistic. It becomes dualistic. Emptiness is there, my mind is here. So emptiness is object, my mind is the subject. Subject-object duality is there. So whereas the non-duality experience is where from the object everything ceases. From the object everything ceases. Meaning that with respect to you, even your mind ceases. With respect to you, it's not that everything ceases, the world stops. This is not the point. With respect to the ultimate analysis, your mind in the ultimate analysis, with respect to that, everything ceases. Existence, non-existence, both, neither, all four tetralemma, all four possibilities, they cease. So there, because that all four possibilities cease, there's nothing really there to appear as an object. So object-subject duality dissolves. So that experience is labeled as seeing emptiness directly. So once you understand this, then when you speak about the dualistic appearance, object, subject. Oh, the flower there, my mind is here. Flower is the object, my mind is the subject. Okay, Rimbila's mind is my object, and my mind is my subject. Object, subject. And even my mind. Okay, my mind, this morning, I was doing my prayers, that is my object. My mind now reflects on this, that is a subject. So this object, always this subject-object duality. Now, I'll say the duality. Duality, what is that duality? What is the duality? There are several interpretations. One is duality in the form of subject-object. Subject-object duality. One. Then the number two is duality in the context of the conventional truth. Conventional truth. Then number three is duality in the form of objective existence. So there are many connotations, and if you get, say, the little bit of experience, the understanding of emptiness, then the duality, all these experiences of the duality, they will come to the same point, except for how the Buddha sees the conventional things. Buddha sees conventional things. Buddha also has the duality. Don't forget it. Buddha has the dual perception and non-dual perception both. For Buddha, these two are simultaneous. Non-duality with respect to emptiness, duality with respect to conventional truth. Okay, this is for the Buddhas. Whereas for the sentient beings, the moment we are non-dual, duality stops. The moment we are into duality, non-duality stops. So these two cannot happen simultaneously. In the case of the sentient beings, it is only the Buddhas who have the duality, non-duality simultaneously. Okay, so this concept of the duality, non-duality happening together in the case of Buddha is something that you can understand only if we are exposed to what is known as the concept of isolates and the entities. If you're exposed to this concept so well, then you can understand it without contradiction. Otherwise, if you don't understand this concept, if you don't appreciate the concept of the isolates and the entities, then how can something, same mind can have the duality and the non-duality simultaneously? So the question is bound to be there if somebody does not understand the concept of the isolates and the entities. Okay. Now the point, very important point that I'm making here is the duality pertaining to the sentient beings, where duality in the form of subject-object duality, number one. Number two, duality in the form of conventional truth, seeing things as conventional truth. Then number three, duality in the form of objective existence. So, say these three things for the sentient beings, these three are synonymous. So where you see, the moment you see something as an object, you see the object in the form of conventional truth. And then, say for example, when you see the object as conventional truth, you see invariably see the object as objectively real. Okay, now you can discuss about how the sentient beings, before the path of seeing, path of accumulation, preparation, there, sentient beings, they see emptiness. Say, some people, they realize emptiness before they follow the first path of accumulation. and then others, they have to have the realization of emptiness when? Latest by which path?
Before we enter the
middle path of? Before they enter the
middle path of accumulation.
Very good. So this is what I meant as the facts. We have to have the facts. You're getting it? And these facts we can't really say they suppose. These are the facts that we need to remember. Okay. So the latest one has to have the experience of emptiness. Latest experience of emptiness. Experience of emptiness doesn't mean non-dual experience. It doesn't mean that. Even conceptual experience of emptiness is fine. You have to have the cognition of emptiness. You have to have the realization of emptiness when you reach the middle of the path of accumulation. Path of accumulation split into 3 divisions: small, middle, and the great. So when you reach the middle, you must have to have the experience of emptiness. Without this, you cannot move from the middle to the great of the path of accumulation. These are the facts that we need to keep in mind. So the point is that, say you are somebody, in this level, the middle of the path of accumulation, Bodhisattva's path of accumulation, middle. So there you realize emptiness. Okay, do you realize emptiness directly or conceptually? Conceptually, all bodhisattvas on the path of the middle path of accumulation, they realize emptiness is always conceptual. Pujala, no?
Bodhisattvas, yes.
All bodhisattvas, yes.
But
All bodhisattvas in the path of the middle path of accumulation. This is what he's saying.
all bodhisattvas, let's say if somebody becomes a bodhisattva, or joins a bodhisattva path after achieving Shravakya.
Very good. Very good, very good, very good. Okay, this is the distinction that we need to keep in mind. Say the bodhisattva in general. General meaning somebody who goes into the bodhisattva path directly without joining, not preceded by following any other path. Just following the bodhisattva path directly. Whereas there are some who first went through the Shravaka path and then they followed the bodhisattva path. Shravaka path, and then they reach the path of seeing of Shravaka. Path of seeing, they see emptiness directly. Okay, so this is what we are talking about here is strictly in accordance with the Prasangika, right? And the variation is there. The position is slightly different from Prasangika's presentation from lower schools. Lower schools, the Shravakas and Pratya Buddhas, they don't have to realize emptiness in order to achieve nirvana. This is a discussion we already had earlier. Quite extensive discussion we did for the lower schools, meaning except for Prasangika. Other schools, for Shravakas and Pratya Buddhas, it is not necessary to realize emptiness to achieve nirvana. Whereas Prasangika, according to Prasangika, anybody, let alone achieving Buddhahood, even to achieve nirvana, personal liberation, you have to have the experience of emptiness. Without the experience of emptiness, you cannot possibly achieve nirvana, forget about Buddhahood. Okay, this is the unique presentation of Prasangika. So from that point of view, somebody who already entered the Shravaka path and Pratya Buddha path and achieved nirvana there, which means that they already had direct experience of emptiness. So they will not, this experience of non-dual experience of emptiness will not be forgotten. It will not disappear. Then the aspiration to become Buddha will be added. Then they follow the Bodhisattva path. When they follow the Bodhisattva path, it's not that they follow the Bodhisattva path from path of seeing. They have to go from the beginning. So they say the small path of accumulation, middle path of accumulation. When they reach the middle path of accumulation, they are still the middle path of accumulation Bodhisattva, but the experience of emptiness is not conceptual, it is direct. It is non-dual. It can be both, depending on the individual. So some at times they may be just casually meditating emptiness while they are say just resting, or while they are say eating food or talking to somebody, they're meditating on emptiness. That is conceptual. Whereas they are just sitting in a meditation just precisely for meditation purpose, then they can go into direct experience. Okay. With this, what I'm saying is, say a bodhisattva whose say the path is not preceded by the Sravaka or the Pratyeka Buddha path, not preceded by any of these two. So when they follow the bodhisattva path, then when they reach the middle path of accumulation, they have to realize emptiness, number one, and that realize emptiness is always conceptual. Okay, don't forget it. Okay, so now what we are discussing is about the non-duality and the duality. So duality for the sentient beings, it has three things. What are they? One is the duality, subject-object duality. Number two is perception of the conventional reality. Number three is perception intrinsic reality. Three. Okay, now in the case of this bodhisattva, whose path is not preceded by the Sravaka path or the Pratyeka Buddha path, so there when they reach the path of say they realize emptiness before the path of seeing, so they experience a dualistic experience, not a non-dual experience, dualistic. And what he said is that for the sentient beings, which means who is not a bodhisattva, who is not a Buddha, for them their experience of emptiness, the dual experience, should have these three characteristics. One is subject-object duality. Imagine that you have that experience of emptiness now, conceptual experience of emptiness. Okay. Say you see the emptiness of, say, this flower. Say, I raise this flower in my hand, and then I ask you to think of on the atomic level, the millions of atoms. Then you see in the millions of atoms. Then I ask you, where is the flower? The flower is empty. So there, now you abide in this experience with emptiness. Okay. So this emptiness of flower, do you see this as something different from your mind, or is mixed with your mind? Different from the mind. Different from the mind means mind is a subject, and what is different from the mind, that's the object. What your mind is seeing is the object, and the seer is a subject, and you don't see these two as one. You see that exclusively, not mixed with the mind. So therefore this is known as seeing the flower as object real, seeing the emptiness of the flower as object real. Okay, so one, seeing the emptiness of the flower as the object, and your mind is the subject. There's a subject-object duality here. Okay, so there is a subject-object duality there. In the case of the bodhisattva following the middle path of accumulation, and with the reality of emptiness, subject-object duality is there. Then number two is that, okay, what he or she is seeing, is that conventional truth or what? This is interesting, huh? Is he or she seeing emptiness, or is he or she seeing the conventional truth, the ultimate truth? Huh? No, just guess. No, just speak your mind. Absence of intrinsic reality. Is that conventional truth, the ultimate truth? Ultimate truth, right? But what we said is that in the case of sentient beings, when they see things in a dualistic form, the three things should be there. One is subject-object duality. It is there. Number two is that it should see the conventional truth. This is a little problematic. Number three is that it should be seeing objective reality. Okay, the three things, right? Of the three, the first is easily understandable. Then number two is conventional truth. This is complicated. Okay, it is seeing emptiness. It is seeing the ultimate truth, emptiness. So it is for this reason that some people, they see that, when they say that if you see emptiness, it must be a non-dual experience. This, many people say that. This is not true. Keep this in mind. This is not true. Now, how does it see the conventional truth? This point. Okay. Is it a conceptual mind, non-conceptual mind? Conceptual mind. So what is the demarcating line of the conceptual mind? Demarcating characteristic of the conceptual mind? What's the demarcating characteristic of the conceptual mind?
One will go through a generic image.
It uses the generic image of the primary object. What's the primary object? Emptiness of the flower. So the generic image of the primary object is that conventional truth, the ultimate truth. Conventional truth. So therefore there's a conventional truth there. Number two, the emptiness, is that seen as from the object or from the subject? How does this person see? As from the object. The moment you see something as object as opposed to the subject, the moment you see something as object, automatically, except for how the Buddha sees the conventional truth, that is very different from how sentient being sees conventional truth. Sentient being sees conventional truth by his own virtue, by his own virtue, meaning through his own influence of the self-grasping ignorance. Whereas for the Buddha, self-grasping ignorance is not there, it's by virtue of others' perception. So that is different. This is not how we see things. We see things by own virtue of the self-grasping ignorance. So therefore for us, the moment we see things something as an object, we should see that as objectively, which means that it is coming from the object to the subject. Okay, this is something which, in fact, in the monastic text studied, a particular text written by Panchen Sonam Thapa, the chief author, the main author of the Debon Loseling Monastery's textbooks and the Ganden Shazi Monastery's textbooks. All the textbooks, they are written by this great author, incredibly great teacher, the Panchen Sonam Thapa. He mentioned this, that this duality has these connotations: the subject-object duality, then the conventional truth, and the objective existence. That's very interesting. And then they say it is us, we have to. So he has already given us a key. And then how? This is what we have to explore. The keys are given, our job is to explore, to see how these three things, for a sentient being, they are just the same. This is what we need to keep in mind. Okay. So this little digression, the question number one, yes. Now question two, it says, is there a similarity between Prasanga's presentation of memory and inferential cognition? Okay, this is a very good debate. Let's say memory, there are two. For example, say what I ate this afternoon, I have the memory of that. So this memory, we don't say that this is inferential cognition. This is something, just the subsequent cognizer. Subsequent cognizer coming from the coming in the form of memory of the what I know I ate this afternoon. And then pertaining to the debate of what you have not seen, what you have not experienced, and still having the memory. So this I very clearly mentioned in the class, that is a matter of the vocabulary. In Sanskrit, smriti, that has a very good connotation of this word applicable to the memory as well as this insight that, okay, yes, the last time in the winter the rat bit me, and now with the thunder I could feel the pain. So I remember before the thunder strikes, I remember the bite, but I really don't know if the poison was injected. So now the pain is there. Okay, the poison, for sure the poison was injected then. Okay, so the word smriti, according to Sanskrit, it fits so well. In Tibetan, the word is tempa. Tempa, in a loose sense, the Tibetan word tempa is applicable here. And English, memory, recollection. The moment we say recollection or the memory, it already has the connotation of something that you experienced before. So this is something pertaining to the language. But what is important here is that what we need to know here is that according to Prasangika, how the memory is accounted for. Memory is accounted for. The Acharya Chandagati says that it is not necessary. It is not necessary that you have the memory of something. You should have experienced that before. If you should have experienced that before, then the arguments or the what you call as the infinite regress of having to accept what then made you see the flower, what made you remember the flower, because of the mind we saw the flower, what made you remember the mind, the next mind, then you go at infinite regress, and this will end you up in problem, contradiction. So to avoid this problem, only two choices. One, you accept self-cognizant mind. Self-cognizant mind, Rangrik, Savasamvedana concept, or say the once that is rejected, self-cognizant mind, once that is rejected, there is no choice other than to accept the Prasangika version. Prasangika version is that the moment you remember the object and subject, these two are tied together. I saw that. I saw the flower. When you say I saw the flower is remembered, and the I, this person who saw the flower is also, because that the subject is gelled with the object. When the object is recalled, the subject comes alongside the object. So this is how, and then say this one thing. Then number two is that the later on, what comes to your thought, what comes to the object that comes to your thought, and the object which you earlier saw, these two are similar in terms of the nature. They have the same continuum. So when that is happening, this is what conventionally the world says as a memory. So this is how the memory is triggered according to Prasangika. Okay, as long as you understand this, it's fine. Otherwise, it's a matter of the language. Sometimes language may not be too fitting, to square, tally exactly. There are, say, the nuances are there, and slight deviations are there. They may not overlap perfectly amongst the different language, the different vocabularies. So, so therefore, it would be very good if the translators, when they translate, if the person can be, say, well versed in the target language, the target and the source language both. If somebody is well versed in that, and must be thorough in the concept, and not only that, if possible, the person should be exposed to the culture of both the languages. Not just the language, it's the culture of the language. The culture, for example, somebody who is translating from Tibetan into English, it would be wonderful if the person is exposed to the whole Tibetan culture. The person should have the living experience to be with the Tibetan, to be in the Tibetan environment, and not just the Tibetan environment, rich Tibetan environment. Tibetan environment, again, there are two: very rich and not so rich. Rich meaning rich in culture. And some some places where the Tibetan language is spoken, but the language is very, very basic language. They're actually Tibetans, Tibetan youngsters, but the language is very basic, so less vocabularies, and the vocabularies are very, what do you call it, so vernacular, very, very vernacular, and then there's only the slangs are there, what they know, right? So likewise with English. English, I remember when I was in Cambridge, meeting with any faculties in Cambridge and students, they must do masters, doing PhD, MPhil, meeting with them, all the time meeting with them. And the English, okay, this is English. Then one time, somebody brought his friend who was from a very remote village, a Britisher. And then the moment I started talking to him, then I could see the contrast between the richness in the language between these two people. One in the university, because of the university environment, generally speaking, university environment, the language is so rich, generally speaking. And the person from that very remote village always just being there, not much usage of the vocabularies. There the vocabularies, the sentence structure, they are so basic. This was what I noticed. And with the Tibetans also. There's such a contrast there. Okay, so the best is all about the language. When it comes to language, I would not hesitate to say that this is a language problem, and don't be too rigid with that. What is the language problem? If you're too rigid with this, if you want to really want to have things very clear, then it is like, say, struggling to build a castle in the air, and the effort will simply go in total vain. So no point. Okay, this is my suggestion. But they say you can meet with any other scholars, and then sometimes we never know. Very good scholars are there who have come out over both the languages, both the culture and the philosophy, and then they say, let them speak, right? That's the thing. Okay, then the next question is, okay, any other questions? Dijala?
I actually have a question related to this question. Is while I think I understand Acharya Chandrakirti's presentation on memory, but when Bodhisattva Shantideva's presentation, so I understand the metaphor, but I cannot, and I understand understand meaning, I know the conclusion that, okay, you don't have to have experienced something in order to recollect it later. But when I try to think of how to apply this as a experiential example, in the same continuum, I'm not able to...
The same, you go back to the debate brought by Chittamatra. Go back to the debate brought by Chittamatra. So how do you know that flower is there? My eyes could see that. Right? Do you remember the flower that you saw yesterday? Yes. What made you remember that? Because I saw that. And not only you remember the flower, you also remember you haven't seen that. So that subject you remember. How do you remember that subject? Because of the next moment. So the problem will be there. So which means that if you follow the trend that to have the memory of something, you have to have that experience, then you will end up in the infinite regress. Now, in order to avoid that, only two choices. One is either you accept subconscious mind, or the way Acharya Chandrakirti or Bodhisattva Shantideva presents. This is how we do. So go back to Chittamatra's debate. You getting it?
Okay, so what is the difference in what Acharya Chandrakirti is giving as a presentation of the memory as per Prasangika
and Bodhisattva Shantideva?
Yeah, because
No difference.
No difference. Okay. So why this whole example of the rat, Keshava?
No, there can be thousands of examples. If you want to give you can write another commentary with another example of a cat biting you, or a dog biting you, and a rabies problem.
So
yeah.
Exactly the same.
Same.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Related to this question, when you ask us if we were present while you were having lunch, in order to say that if you're not there, there's no memory. Now, supposing I asked your cook, what did Geshina have for lunch?
That's fine. That's
Now, if that cook is not reliable as evidence, then memory also may not be reliable.
That's true, that's true.
So how can we talk about having had experience of, watching you having lunch as the only evidence for it to be?
Not only. This is one of the. So what's example of impermanence? The pen. You're getting it? This is just an example. There are millions of examples, not only one. Likewise, evidence, there can be millions of evidence, not only one. Okay, anyone else? Okay, yes.
Geshina, two things. One, I was confused if the view of the perishable collection pertaining to mind for Prasangika, that mind can be attached to any phenomenon?
No, I don't understand what you're saying.
In the sense, okay, when we did the presentation of the lower schools and Prasangika's presentation, what I understood was that for Prasangika, it could be my house, it could be my body, it could be my pen, anything, as long as the emphasis is on mind, then that would qualify as the view of the perishable collection pertaining to mind?
No.
No.
M-I-N-E.
M-I-N-E.
Okay, no.
No.
It should be only related to the five aggregates, your five aggregates. Even the physical table is also aggregative form. Aggregative form does not necessarily your body, right? In other words, all impermanent phenomena should necessarily fall under the category of one of the five aggregates. Not necessarily five aggregates means your, yeah. Yes.
Just to follow up on that, then the view of the perishable collection of mind, is it innate? Are we born with that, or this my body is something we acquire?
Okay. View of perishable collection of related to mind, M-I-N-E, not mind, M-I-N-E, I and mind. Is that innate or not? Okay, I'd like to ask this question to you, to the floor. Okay, this is a good question. Let's say the view of, in other words, self-grasping ignorance pertaining to I, self-grasping ignorance pertaining to mind, right? Let's say, or to put it technically, view perishable collection with respect to I, view a perishable collection with respect to mind, too. The mind, with respect to mind, this is what we need to bear in mind. Let's say my body, my mind, my flower. Okay, do you see difference? One is related to the what constitutes as a the basic constituents of myself, physical body, but which forms the basic constituents of this cell. That I'm a human being is not because of the flower, although this is mine. My flower, my house, my bird, these are mine, but they don't determine whether I'm a human or not human. But my body, this body, because this body is a human body, I become a human body. So therefore, this body, my body, becomes a basic one of the constituencies, the basic constituent, one of the basic constituents, which made me, which give me a sense of human being. You're getting it? One which gave me a sense of I, that too as a human I, human being. Okay, so the mind, only those things which I categorize as mind, and which are related to okay, these debates are there, which are related to say the things which my mind, M-I-N-D, which my mind has possession of. For example, I move, for example, say if my hand somebody, pinch, I could feel the pain. Say if I have artificial limb, somebody pinches, I will not feel the pain. So which means this physical body is possessed by mind, right? Where it's not possessed by mind, then you don't feel the pinch. Where it is possessed by mind, then you feel the pinch, right? Okay, so those things, in other words, those aggregates on the basis of which you are defined as a human being, you are defined as a girl, you are defined as a boy, or whatever. These are the aggregates, these are the mind grasping to this in the form of mind. You call them as view of perishable collection pertaining to mind. Whereas I see my intrinsically real flower, so there the self-grasping ignorance, the view of perishable collection with respect to the flower as mine, that does not fall under the category of what we call as the view of perishable collection. It's simply the self-grasping ignorance pertaining to the other objects outside me, although they are mine. Okay, this is one thing. Now the next question is whether or not, in this sense of, say for example, my body, my objectively existence body, okay, can this be innate or can this be acquired? This question. Okay, first let us do one by one. Can this be innate? Can this be innate? Or can this be acquired? They do not smoke courageous. Yes, more daring. Yes, it is. Okay, so one thing that we need to keep in mind, all wrong views, what Devendra said is correct, all wrong views, acquired is always there. Acquired is always there for the wrong views. So the challenge or the debate is whether or not it has the innate part also. For example, when we say that I, right? I, this sense of I can be acquired. Acquired is always there. Now it can be also innate. This is what we're going to discuss after these questions. This is very important discussion there. So this sense of, in other words, to make it simple, that the sense of this is my objectively existent the mind, this body, my body is objectively existent mind. So this is a view of perishable collection, which can acquired is always there and can be also innate. So the mind and the I, view of perishable collection of the I and mind, both have the innate as well as the acquired. Both are there. Okay. The next question is it correct to say that for Chittamatra, what makes me to see a phenomena, that is a flower, is purely from my karmic imprint? How about Prasangika? What makes me to see or what makes me to project a valid phenomena such as an external flower? Is it due to my karmic imprint plus the valid basis of existence of the flower? What is that valid basis of existence of the flower? If everything exists from the subject. Okay. So from Chittamatra point of view, we see that there's nothing really external there. It's purely like a dream, which means that it's purely coming from the inside, which means imprint. purely from the imprint. What about for the prasangika? Is it purely the karma is involved, karmic imprints involved? Yes, involved. Is it purely karmic imprint? No, something is there. Nothing is there. Nothing is there from the object. I see. So when we leave, the flower disappears. When we leave, if there's nothing there, when we leave, then the flower is not there. Now, we all leave, we lock the door, then the flower remains or not remain? It still remains, which means something is there externally. No? Externally, yes, prasangika, this is our point. Yes, externally it is there. Now from the object, is it there? Okay, this distinction we have to make. You're getting it? Okay. So then the question is, the person who's asking this question, from prasangika, is it due to my karmic imprint? Plus there's some basis there, base of existence. Okay. There is what is known as the basis of designation. The flower is imputed or designated by mind. For our mind to designate the flower, there should be the basis of designation. Base of designation. Right? What is the base of the designation? Say the petals, the leaves, all things should be there. And even the petals and leaves, they're also imputed. They also need a base of designation. They also have the nucleus, cytoplasm, the cell membrane, and even the nucleus also is a designated, is an imputed phenomenon. Again, it requires a base of designation, like the chromosomes and so forth. In the chromosomes, they have the molecules, atoms, electrons, protons, and so forth. So there should be some base of designation. Okay. So the question is asked, is it due to my karmic imprint plus the valid basis of existence, or technically it is known as basis of designation? Basis of designation of the flower, what is that valid basis of the existence of the flower? If there is a basis of designation there, plus on top of the imprint, karmic imprint, if there is a basis of destination, what is that basis of destination? If you get a basis of destination, then that becomes the objective existence. This is what the most likely the person who's asking this question is asking this. What is that valid basis, not just a basis, valid basis of designation of the flower? If everything exists, from the subject. On the one hand, we say everything is purely subjective, purely comes from the subject. So what is the basis of destination? What is the valid basis of destination? This question. Okay, what is the valid basis of destination for the flower? The petals, then the leaves, the stamens, the color, the shape, all these are the base of destinations. Perfect? So now the question is, Prasangika says that everything is purely subjective. Purely subjective, and now you're talking about the basis, valid basis of destination there. So that becomes objective. So that's a contradiction. This is not a contradiction, Dhanala? This is not a contradiction. How it is not a contradiction? This is an extremely important point. How it is not a contradiction. To say that Prasangika, for Prasangika, everything is mentally imputed, purely is subjective, and now you are talking about the valid basis of designation. Right? We impute on the basis of something there, some substance there, valid basis of designation. Okay, how it is not a contradiction? Tejala, you want to say something? Lokeshla, you want to say something? Tejala first.
Tejala, the valid basis of designation is also subjectively, it's conventionally existent. It's just what we have conventionally agreed upon.
Okay, valid basis of destination is there. Even that is also subjective.
Yes.
Again, it is also some basis there.
No, I mean, we say that there is no basis from the object side. It's externally there, but it's not from the object side. It's from the subject.
How is there objectively? How is there external there? This is not coming from the subject.
Yes, it can come from the subject, but it appears there is a distance, because of the duality, there is a space gap.
No, this duality is also subjectively imputed, right?
Yes.
Not really there.
No, we are not saying, it's not that it's not really there, it exists, but
It
how
exists
does
there.
it exist? It exists conventionally.
And how? Okay, Lokeshla.
Geshe-la,
This is a very serious question. Why I'm saying this is a very serious question is that many people, when the moment they come to this concept, base of designation, even if one say that everything is subjectively real, still your mind finds on the safe haven for objective reality. Something to hold on to. Okay, now I'm relieved. At least there's something there, right? That is objective. The misperception of objective existence. Self-grasping ignorance is there now, right? That is very dangerous. Yes.
Geshe-la, I could be completely wrong, but when I think about this question, I'm able to reconcile it only through this thought, which could be completely wrong. I try to break down mind and subjective. We say that it's coming from mind and subjective. We use these terms as synonymous, but when you look at the definition of subject in Prasangika view, it is not the mind. So we have to say that what we are calling subject and object.
What is that then? If it's not the mind, what is that?
Subject is the what is imputed based on the basis of the 5 aggregates.
It's not the
The
mind.
imputed self, the imputed self, that is the subject. Subject in Prasangika's definition of subject is what is imputed based on the 5 attributes as basis.
No, who imputes?
The mind.
That's it. So that's the
but the subject-object difference is separate than a mind and object difference. The difference of subject and object is different than you would agree that different aspects are there. One is subject, one is mind.
Okay. So this is interesting. So we need to, after the class, we need to go to Logeshi, study more of this distinction. It's very interesting. Subject-object distinction and the object-mind distinction. Okay, there's a difference. This is what Logeshi is saying. Very interesting. And isolated and entity-wise, there's a difference. So this is a very interesting point raised. Okay.
When it's a non-pure.
But still, the answer is not your distinction. Be the case with subject, and it can be 3 kinds. Not only the mind, the person, and term. There are 3 things there, right? So subject, when you pick up the subject per se, it does not refer to the mind. You are true. You're right. The part, that's fine. But when you say it is subjective, are we not saying that it's coming from your mind? Mental imputation. Is this not the connotation? Okay, these are the things that we need to. Anyway, don't forget what Lokeshila said. This is the important point made, right? But the answer, the question is still not resolved. The question is that, Prasangika point of view, everything is purely subjective or purely coming from your mind. How can there be some valid basis of designation there? If there is valid basis of designation there for one to impute there, one is imputing something is there from the object. Then that becomes objective. Oh, this is a big question. Okay, Tenzin Usela.
Geshe-la, so in this view, the basis of designation is never the object of designation, so we can start from there. And taking the example of the hungry ghost, human, and Deva, with the water, so the mutual constituents of the subject and object. So what Prasangika would say, like taking a common example here, like now our karma as human beings, to see the flower as a flower, but like if some cattle came, they may see the flower as,
food.
Fodder. And we can take many such examples. And so in that sense, the subject-object being mutually constituted in the Prasangika view, it ties very well with, yes, there is a karmic imprint factor, because common beings would share that.
So karmic imprint factor is there. It's not purely karmic imprint factor. There's external object also there.
Yes. And they are mutually constituted, and the fact that
So that external object, that's not from the karmic imprint?
How we see it is from our karmic imprint.
No. There's an object there. Basis of designation there.
there is an
That is not your.
reality.
That is not your karmic imprint.
But it's always in relation to a subject, right? Always what the object of designation.
So did you follow the question? The question is that it says that is it due to my karmic imprint, one karmic imprint, plus meaning not only karmic, there is additional factor, plus the valid basis of existence, valid basis of designation. These two things.
Yes.
So what is plus is not a karmic imprint. Okay, so that's not coming from the exactly. That's not coming from the karmic imprint. Okay.
But how I see
Even
that
without the
it-
karmic imprint, still it exists.
Yes, but always what it is will be with relation to the perceiving mind. So there is a table there, but if the cattle comes, cattle will see something
That's
else.
fine. Okay, so that if the cattle sees the table as a fodder, this is distorted mind, right?
But with
Table is never a fodder.
cattle's mind-
Huh?
With respect to cattle's mind, it's not.
No, even with respect to cattle's mind, the table cannot be
Not
fodder.
the table, but the flower.
Flower is fine. Yeah, flower, that's fine. Okay, so this is the very good question. Very good question. Okay, just one thing which Tejal did mention at the beginning is that basis of designation there, even that is also coming from conventionally. Even that is also coming conventionally. It's not something objectively there. So for that matter, experientially speaking, what is important is that you have to have some glimpse of emptiness. Without this question will never be resolved. Right? Something is there, something is there, something is there. This will just keep going, keep going. In fact, this was a question asked in Deer Park. Pujala, when was that? 2019. 16? No? No? It's becoming worse. So it should be way before that. I think 14 or 15. I remember Deer Park. Deer Park, when the question was asked by, I think, who was that? Huh? Yes. Stanton Cepella, not Satan, Cepella. Cepella asked this question. Then who gave the answer? First Kesana gave the answer. Then Ajirji gave the answer. Ajirji forgot. He gave the answer. Ajirji gave the answer, followed by Ankil gave the answer. Then Pujari gave the answer. Four of them gave the answer. It was back in 2014, 2015. Okay, so this is a question asked, and then before that, when was that? 2013 in Binsar? Okay, which means it must be in 15. Okay, 14 Binsar. Again, the people, they say something is there, always something is there. That is objective reality. You're getting it? Same. We impute the flower. So this valid basis of designation there. What is that? The petals and so forth. If petals also imputed, yes, that is imputed on basis of the valid basis of the cells. And the cells also imputed, yes, again there's a basis. Always there's something there. That is objective existence. This is, some people said it. For that matter, what is important is that first, when we look at the flower, how the flower appears to you, which is very appealing, and there's a particular form, shape, color, tenderness, and then you go, don't disturb the flower, keep the flower as it is, and then look at through ultimate analysis, like the electron microscope. Then you see the flower is just like billions of atoms, and then ask the question, where's the flower? The flower is not there. I've not altered the object. Object remains the same, but the flower disappears. And this is the fact that I'm discovering. Besides the billions of atoms, the flower is not really there. This is what I'm discovering, which means that I've now gone too close to the object, the flower disappears. Although something is left there, it doesn't matter. At least the flower is not there. So with that experience, then you apply this to the cells. Even the cells will also disappear. Then you apply this to the the minuscule, say the finer components of the cells, like the nucleus and so on, again they will disappear. Then you will see the still finer the components, like the, say, the mitochondria, then the DNA and so forth. Then you will see the molecules, atoms. So whatever you subject that to analysis, that disappears. So with that experience, so where's the flower? The flower is not really there. Now you can pick up anything. Even you may call this a valid basis designation. You pick that up, even that will disappear, which means that it is not objectively there. So this is what we have to say, that the one, intellectually we can understand it, and then experientially we just keep doing this. In terms of meditation, don't just meditation simply on the emptiness of flower, emptiness of self. Don't be complacent with that. Just keep going in with the finer components. Keep going like this, at least like on the level of 3-4 levels down. And this will help us to gain what is known as the, say, the all-pervasive emptiness. All-pervasive emptiness, meaning that, okay, so what is really there? Then the pertinent to flower. Okay, pertinent to flower, you get emptiness of flower. But the pervasive, all-pervasive emptiness, you may not get it. So this is something that one should be getting when you realize emptiness directly. So it says that if you directly see the emptiness of one object, simultaneously you see the emptiness of all phenomena simultaneously. So that is when you see the pervasive emptiness. Okay, this is a very important question. Good. Any more questions? Yes, Tejala.
A very minor question. You had said that impermanent characteristics of impermanent phenomena share 3 attributes in common with the phenomena. 1 being space or object, 2 time, 3 nature.
Meaning? Pertaining to what?
I'm sorry. At some point in the teachings, you said that the impermanent characteristics of impermanent phenomena share these 3 attributes in common.
Like what?
The space, the time, and nature.
Okay, you should be very specific in relation to this, in relation to that.
You mean at which point in the teaching? Like
yes.
That?
Yeah.
Can I ask what my question is still?
Yeah.
Maybe if it's...
Yeah. Fine.
So, when you had said space, then you said space or object, then time, then nature, and I could not, when we were having group discussion, we were asking, what is the nature? And then Pujala said same entity, Anyway, so my question is, I couldn't distinguish the difference between what the first one is pointing to, that they share the same space or the same object, and then same nature. What is the difference between those two? Or I can go and look where
Okay, go and look. No, it doesn't matter. Just track where I mentioned this.
Yes.
And bring it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a related question.
Fine.
Yeshla and the Chitta Matra view, sorry I'm not revised, so this could be a very silly question, that the subject and object is one entity or they are same nature? And are they isolate-wise different? What would be the difference?
Okay, good question.
Like
Object and subject. Not just object and subject. Let's say the mind remembering 2018. So 2018 becomes object, and my today's 2019 becomes the subject. These two can never be same entity. You're getting it? A mind remembering 2018. A mind of 2019 remembering 2018. 2018 is the object, 2019 mind is the subject. So these two are these two exist in two different times. What exists in two different times can never be same entities. You getting it? Okay. Now is about say the particularly with the valid mind perceiving the object directly. Say the eye consciousness seeing the flower directly. So these two, the object, the flower is the object, and the eye consciousness seeing the flower as the subject. These two are same entity as well as same nature.
And isolate-wise, they are
Isolate-wise different. One is object, one is subject. Lokesh La?
Should our online questions finished? If they're finished, then I will ask.
Finished.
Okay. Okay, so I prepared 3 questions for today's discussion. I don't know how to prioritize them, but I'll ask the simple one probably first. You did not go through those paragraphs in the commentary, but I was reading them and I had a question. When we read the paragraphs about Sautrantrika Madhyamika's view about conventional truth, and they calling it concealer, it appears to me that they're saying that the grasping at objective existence is the cause of arising of conventional truth. It reads like that to me, but which probably is wrong. So I just want to confirm whether that is the correct understanding of it.
Okay, no. So one is the etymology. So we, right from the beginning, we already made the distinctions between meaning, etymology, and definition. There's a difference, right? So they say the concealed truth, conventional truth, conventional, concealed, kunsup. Concealed truth is a truth with respect to the mind which conceals the ultimate reality. So there's the etymology, right? Etymology. And now to apply this, the way the question was asked here, say for the Buddha, things don't appear subjectively. For us, our mind, because of the ignorance, it imputes things to be objectively real. Right? And for example, say a valid mind, which is there's a flower there, this valid mind, at the same time this is affected by the concealer mind, self-grasping ignorance is influenced by that, right? So even for us, even the existence of the flower is also due to the influence. It's not that self-grasping ignorance creates the objective existence of flower that comes into existence. This is not the point. The point is that is influence, through the influence of self-grasping ignorance, then the conventional things come into existence.
Thank you, Krishna. I'll ask the second question. It is related to practice, and it is a problem that I see in myself a lot of times. And it's a very stupid problem actually to say. But let's say you are looking at and trying to meditate on the emptiness of flower. What I end up doing is that we say, okay, like flower, like object A is not object A, because you negated that it's not a flower because you go to atoms and things. So you end up establishing in a very trivial way that this is not a flower because it is atoms. Which is, so I've left the object there, objectivity of the flower there, as well as I've done bigger mistake that I've denied a convention to that the flower is not a flower. So how do I go around solving this issue?
Okay.
So this is like a valid cognition of the very Sautrantrika school, sort of a valid cognition that I left the object there, but at the same time I also sort of falsely, validly recognize that it's not a flower.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for that, I think, okay, that's good. So let's say the flower, there are steps. Just follow the steps initially. Then later on, once you gain some degree of expertise, some degree of familiarization, then you can do it any way you like. Right? First, let's follow the steps. One is the flower. The flower. Then number 2 is atoms. Then number 3 is ask the question. Then number 4 is see the illusion-like nature of the flower. First the flower, number 2 is atoms, number 3 answer question, number 4 is see the illusion nature of the flower. Right? Okay, so first you think of the flower. Oh, there's a flower there. Then number 2, what is number 2? Atoms. Go deeper into, closer to this object, then you see these the cells, then the DNA molecules, chromosomes, DNA molecules, atoms. Okay, number 2 is atoms. Stay there. Then number 3, ask the question, where's the flower? The flower is empty. Stay there. Flower is empty. Stay there. Right? So now you have switched from the flower to the emptiness of flower with these 3 steps. Flower to the emptiness of flower. The first, when you say, is a flower there? This is a conventional analysis. Now these 3 steps, the transition from the first to the second to the third, that helps the transition of the mind from the conventional analysis to the ultimate analysis. So third one, when you say where's the flower, it is not there. You have already moved to the conventional analysis, the ultimate analysis. So stay there in the experience. That experience is supposed to be the experience of emptiness. What is number 4? Illusion-like nature of the flower. So now you come out of meditation, again you see the flower. You see the flower, which means that you switch from the ultimate analysis to the conventional analysis. Then you see the flower. So there, when you see the flower, you are very sure that from the object it is empty. From the object it is empty, still it appears, which means it's just appearance. Appearance coming from the mind. Appearance because from the mind. So what is coming from the mind, nothing from the object, is known as illusion. So number 4 is, look at the illusion nature of the flower. So just follow these 4 steps and you will not fall into nihilism, you will not fall into eternal absolutism.
If I may ask my third question.
Yes.
When we studied the entering into 6th bhumi, we said that according to scriptures, there are 10 equanimities or 10 samenesses on the basis of which the 6th bhumi is entered. And of them, 2 were the main ones. One is the absence of signs, the signlessness, and second was the absence of objective existence. While we've studied the objective existence in great detail, we have, at least in my very superficial reading, I don't understand how this important piece of signlessness is treated. And if you think about it, you have explained what signless means. It is basically absence of uniquely characterizing unique features of objects which are treated as signs, and the world is sort of signless. How do we go about thinking that? Or is basically only looking at the absence of objective existence itself would be sufficient, or signlessness is a sort of side topic which we can cover later, sort of?
So basically, it is like they're all connected. For example, how we talked about the emptiness of duality, emptiness of subject-object duality, emptiness of the appearance of the conventional truth, emptiness of appearance of the, not really emptiness, voidness or the disappearance of the ultimate, the objective appearance, objective existence. So, although they are very different, when you boil down to the understanding, when you get it, then they will all come from different angles and then all come to the same point. Likewise, all these 10 samenesses, if you understand the second one so well, then everything you touch, all others, they will all finally boil down to the number 2.
Sorry, if I just may ask a follow-up question on that. When we do the preliminary prayers, this signlessness, is it the connotation is the same as no separateness of this here?
Which one?
Of the independence, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence. So this no separateness is what is referred to as signlessness.
No. No separateness is very exclusively to say the conventionally what we call as separate. For example, say the two nations are separate, and this is my property, this is your property, you know. Okay, this is for the younger one, this is for the children, this is for the adults. So there's a separation there. So this is what is conventionally there. So on the basis of this separation, and then the differences come into being. Because of this, so, and then seeing this difference, separateness is intrinsically real, then the complications arise, fights, conflicts, so forth arise. So to see that even this is simply coming from your mind. The separateness is there, but this is coming from your mind. So this is emptiness pertaining to the what is conventionally existent as a separate phenomena.
How is signlessness different?
Signlessness is more in terms of, say for example, when we set a flower, even with a single object, we can describe this signlessness. Signlessness we can speak of related to any phenomena, not only separate phenomena. Okay. Pujala, you have a question?
I have two questions.
Hmm.
The first question, I want to know whether these statements are correct or not. For example, when we say that Buddhas do karmas, it's correct to say.
Correct.
But Buddhas accumulate karma.
Uncontaminated karmas.
We say they accumulate uncontaminated karma, and but they accumulate imprints. We say no.
Imprints no, because everything is manifest.
And then other question is, Keshava, when we said that everything is merely imputed, and then we learned that imputation is done by only the mental consciousness, and then within mental consciousness it is only the conceptual mind. And then third was, Keshava, I have difficulty understanding non-discerning direct perception. So when we say the direct, for example, when we say the eye consciousness seeing the flower, and then you, let's say, when you are fully engrossed in music, and then something passes by and then you don't notice it. So your eye, it comes in contact with your eye sense power because your eyes are wide open. So do we say that the eye consciousness, let's say it was a flower, I didn't notice, I didn't ascertain basically, but because I was fully engrossed in music, but my eyes were wide open, so the two conditions were there. The flower was there, eye sense power was also there. So do we say that the eye consciousness seeing the flower was there, but because I could not ascertain it, because my mind was totally, my mental consciousness was totally engrossed in music, that eye consciousness seeing the flower is not ascertaining. This is correct to say, first of all?
Yes.
And we do use the label eye consciousness seeing the flower.
Yes.
So it means eye consciousness seeing the flower has generated. So it should have three conditions.
Yes.
For any sensory consciousness. It should be object, the sense powers, and the immediately preceding mind. So all these three are there in this case. And still in my mind we say that it is that consciousness is non-ascertaining because at that moment your mental consciousness is engrossed in something else.
Yes.
Although these three, the eye consciousness.
Three are there. All the three factors are there.
So Krishna, so immediately preceding mind. If somebody asks us that what is that mind? So first of all, immediately preceding mind, it has to be only mental consciousness in any case, or it can be sensory also. The immediately preceding sensory consciousness.
Yeah.
So in this case, particular case, it should be the immediately preceding sensory consciousness.
Krishna, just to confirm that in the context of the view of the perishable connection, if there's not an emphasis on mind, then our physical aggregates are also phenomena, right? Like my arm in general is a phenomenon.
Okay, two things. Let's say my hand exists objectively. One. So that we can put it differently, saying that my objectively existent hand. self-grasping ignorance which views the my hand to be objectively existent. Self-grasping ignorance which views the objectively existent my hand. This is one. Another one is self-grasping ignorance which views the objectively existent my hand, or my hand to be objectively existent mine. So my hand, this hand is mine too. So say objectively existent. If you see the say my objectively existent hand, if this is how you view it, this is not the view of the perishable collection. This is the this becomes the view of perishable collection. The first criteria, view of perishable collection should necessarily be the self-grasping ignorance of the person. Right? Self-grasping ignorance of the person may not be view of perishable collection. For example, I view Ajila to be objectively existent person. So this is a self-grasping ignorance of the person, but it's not the view of perishable collection. View of perishable collection all related to the self, not somebody else's, not somebody else. Okay. Now within the self, say that my body exists objective. My body exists. My objectively existent body. That is again not the view of perishable collection. This is not the, let alone being view of perishable collection. It is not only. It is not also the self-grasping ignorance of the person. This self-grasping ignorance of phenomena. Whereas when I say that my body is objectively existent mine, then it becomes view of perishable collection. This becomes a self-grasping ignorance of person. Right? Say my objectively existent body. My body is objectively existent mind. There are two different things. Mind and the body, mind, M-I-N-E, mind and body. If you see the body as the basis and the mind as the characteristic, this body exists as objectively existent mind, then it becomes view of perishable collection. If the mind seen as the basis and the body as the characteristic, mind objectively existent body, then it becomes it is not this view of perishable collection. It is not the self-grasping ignorance of person. It is the self-grasping ignorance of phenomena. So this is the difference. Okay, yes, Rimbila. Okay, last part. Okay, there are two things. Let's say my body, or let's say my hand and mine, M-I-N-E, mine and mine hand. So how you relate these two? The basis and the characteristic, right? So say it is not that, it is not fixed that my hand is always the basis and mine is always the characteristic, not necessary. If the mind can be characteristic and my hand should be seen as the basis, or the mind can be the basis, my hand can be the language, is the matter of how you put it in a language. So one way of putting this is that my hand is objectively existent mind. This is one way of putting it. Now another reverse, just put it upside down or the other way. My objectively existent hand, right? My objectively existent hand. So there, it is not the emphasis. The characteristic is not the mind. The characteristic is the hand. Whereas my hand exists as objectively existent mind. Mind. So that mind becomes the characteristic, and my hand becomes the basis. So when you see the mind as the characteristic and my hand as the basis, that becomes the view of perishable collection. And whereas the hand becomes the characteristic and the mind becomes the basis, then it becomes the self-grasping ignorance of phenomena, not the view of perishable collection. And the relationship between view of perishable collection and self-grasping ignorance of, okay, tell me, What is the relationship in 4 modes, 2 modes, or 4 modes, 3 modes? The contradictory or the synonymous between the view perishable collection and the self-grasping ignorance of phenomena? What's the relationship? 3 modes? Huh? What I'm saying is the view of perishable collection versus the self-grasping ignorance of phenomena. What's the relationship? Synonymous? Not synonymous. Contradictory? No. 4 modes? 3 modes? Huh? 100% contradictory, right? So what is perishable view perishable collection can never is always self-grasping ignorance of phenomena. It can never be self-grasping ignorance of phenomena. Don't forget it. It's always self-grasping ignorance of person. It's never self-grasping ignorance of phenomena. This is one thing. Now what's the relationship between the view perishable collection and the self-grasping ignorance of person? What's the relationship between these two? 3 modes. In what way these are 3 modes? Huh? Lokeshla? In what way these two are 3 modes?
Self-grasping ignorance of the person can refer to the other person's ignorance or self-grasping ignorance.
No, 3 modes means you have to explain it well. 3 modes means anything which qualifies A should qualify B. What qualifies B may not qualify A. You have to speak like this.
Okay. Whatever qualifies view of perishable collection also qualifies the self-grasping ignorance of the person.
Very good.
But whatever qualifies self-grasping ignorance of the person does not necessarily qualify for view of perishable collection because we have...
Well, no, that's just a full stop. Then the person will ask you, what example do you have?
The self-grasping ignorance of the person other than my own continuum.
Very good. Self-grasping, Logeshi's self-grasping ignorance of the Logeshi viewing Ajirji as objectively existent person. Very good. Okay. Rimbila?
I don't know which it's a very good question or not. But whenever I pray, praying for everybody, so we have learned that may I become a Buddha for all sentient beings. But somehow, for me, it's always comes that everybody will meet dharma. Because whenever I started,
may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings?
Yes. So instead of that, I always pray that everybody will meet dharma. Because may everybody will meet this.
May everybody meets with dharma. Meet with dharma. That's amazing.
Yeah. So no, I found that this is
more powerful. More powerful than saying that may I become Buddha.
Yes.
Wonderful, amazing.
No, I'm asking is that good or not?
Okay. No, this is good, but this is
so
best. This is best or not? This is questionable.
Yeah. So
but it's very good.
So what is the difference, like
What's the difference?
It will take me millions of years to become Buddha, but if everybody will meet dharma right now, or maybe some of the people, more and more people will meet dharma. So I think the world will become beautiful.
Then you have to pray, may some people meet dharma.
Not all the people. Why not all the people?
No, all the people meeting dharma today is not. It will take eons and eons. So for you to achieve Buddhahood, you will take eons. You said it. Yeah. Right.
At least the starting will be there.
Okay, very good question. Anybody who likes to solve this problem? We always say that by the accumulation of generosity and so forth, may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. One. And Rimbila feels it more comfortable to say that by the power of the accumulation of merit, the generosity and so forth, may all beings meet with dharma. This is what you prefer. Okay. Anybody who... Okay, first, how many of you agree with Rimbila? Or how many of you like to stick to the original version? May I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings? And why that is more important? Why? The Meenakshi-ji?
Geshe-la, I want my father to meet with dharma.
Yes.
But he has his own religion.
Yes.
He is a devotee of Krishna.
Yes.
So what right do I have to...
No, you don't force. No, pray.
But I'm praying.
No, pray, that's
he
fine.
may not want that.
No, it doesn't matter. You don't have to tell him directly. Pray, pray, and then his mind may change because of your power. part of your prayer, his mind may change.
But am I not being a fundamentalist by saying my dharma is better than Krishna worship?
No, don't say that, you know.
No, my thing is that not dharma means to say
Not the Buddhist dharma, a dharma which gives the person the ultimate happiness.
And I'm not talking about only Buddhism. Even if they are into Hinduism, I think they are not, they are like, they don't know the actual meaning of that. So they will get that meaning.
They will get the meaning of what the intended meaning.
Yes.
Very good. Yes.
Related question. Sometimes, like when we talk about form and formless realm, I do feel dejected, like Rimpila, that we read that we've countless lives where we achieve the greatest of shamatha. Then how does our mind regenerate again to at least where I am today? I cannot ever imagine that many times I have achieved like that and then come back.
Shamatha is, say, the best thing is, let's say you learn the technicalities of the philosophy now, and if you remain cut off from this for the next 2 years, all the details that we studied now, if somebody asks you, they'll disappear. They'll disappear. It's a matter of, say, your mind, and this is one, and number two is that in the process of meditation, it's not just a single point is built, there's also the energy built. Energy built, this is a very interesting concept. It's not just the single pointedness. So what happens in the course of you taking birth there, constant energy is being consumed. So for somebody to take birth there in the formless, this life expectancy, maybe 1 million years. Life expectancy is there. Life expectancy means there's a storage of energy which will be consumed within this span of time. Right? When this energy is consumed, then the grosser afflictions arise.
But what I meant, Ishla, is that there can be so many pitfalls then to achieve Buddhahood, because what we are saying is that along the way there must be many karma that takes us downward. Of course, that bucket.
Yes, that's true. No, we are talking about, say, there are karmas, but then there are ways and means to overcome them also, and to guarantee as to how to continue meeting with the dharma, gate, paragate, right? So therefore, reaching the second level, the middling of the path of accumulation, that is very important. When you reach that point, from there, then falling back never happens. Guaranteed. From there, this is one important point. So the point raised is that the point raised is that may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is one. May all sentient beings meet with dharma. Two. Of the two, if you are given a choice, you can just pray one, don't pray two. Which you are going to pray. So Rimbila says that for the time being I'll pray, may all beings meet with dharma. Right? And others would say, some may say that I'll pray the first one, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay. Kapustin, you like to say something?
Yeah, because if I become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, I can make people reach Dharma. I can take the responsibility for people to reach Dharma. So may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, then I take the responsibility.
Okay, so the point is that, say one person prays that may all beings meet with dharma. Then number two person says that may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So may people meet with dharma. In reality, somebody has to do something to let people meet with dharma. Somebody has to do that, and then say that which is more, I'll say, practical? Expecting somebody to do that, to let people meet with Dharma, or you can actually do that? If you can do that, and somebody else can also do that, which is more realistic for you to expect? That others to help or you to help? Which is more realistic? You or others?
It's me.
No. Did you follow the question? I'm giving you another option. I'm saying that, say, you want all beings to meet with Dharma, right? Now, there are two options where you are a Buddha, and another one is where they say you are not Buddha, right? In the first place, which of the two situations, that aspiration that others meet with Dharma, that aspiration can be materialized?
Obviously, if I'm a Buddha and if
okay, right? You are a Buddha, then you can make this aspiration come true. If you are not a Buddha, you have to expect somebody else do that. And somebody else do or not do, not sure. Whereas you can. If you cannot, that's a different matter. There's a different thing. Otherwise, if you have that capacity, why not? But somebody, right? If you're so kind, you want somebody to be be freed from the hunger, and then there's a billionaire next door. Would you expect that person to help this poor person? Or if you have something, you would do it yourself rather than expect the other person. You would do it yourself. So the point is that when you become Buddha, then you can easily make it happen. Whereas if you don't become a Buddha, you cannot really make it happen, right? So which is better? That you are in a position to actually make it happen, or that you are not in a position to make it happen? Which is better? So therefore, say may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, that already includes, may all beings meet with Dharma. This is also inclusive, and it has already taken the next step. That is, how to make them meet with Dharma. I will do it. How? By becoming Buddha. All the two steps are additional there. Yeah. Okay, Ajirji, maybe the last question. Then we'll stop here.
Geshe-la, this is I'm just taking the question further, which Kaveri has raised. Now, when we are really talking about the form and the formless, we always project that their karma would get exhausted and they would
come back.
Now, there are the sutras which clearly tells, and the Buddha is saying that in the formless realm, I'll go in the formless state. In the form state, I'll go as the form. And in the human realm, I'll come as a human. So like that. So isn't it that from there, the people are also getting dharma and they are getting enlightened from that state of form and the formless? So that's a question number one. And the second is that, again, what she has really put in, she got great shamatha maybe in past lives. Now what has really happened to that? Now, some of the commentaries clearly project that the realization which is achieved in the meditation would never be destroyed. It would remain there. Maybe I think the right condition has not really come, but they are there like a bank deposit. So I just wanted to get your comments on this too.
Okay, very good question. The first one is about the formless. Is it necessary that they should come back? Answer is no, not necessary. So what we are projecting is a very general scenario where somebody does not meet with the wisdom of emptiness, somebody does not have the bodhicitta, and simply meditate on the shamatha and the special insight. With this, then the people can, the very refined version, the 4 concentrations, infinite space, infinite consciousness, vacuity, peak of existence, and these you reach the standard of the meditation, and then once you reach accomplished in this standard of the meditations, when you die, unless until you are in a very advanced level of the bodhisattva path, like path of seeing, where you can control, even if you can go to the peak of existence, you deliberately come to different, say, the realms. Whereas Shravakas and Parita Buddhas, for them there is no choice. If you have achieved that samadhi to take birth in the formless realm, you will take birth there. Unless until before you die, that meditative state declines. If it does not, you have to take birth there. Whereas for the bodhisattvas, crossing the path of seeing, so there for them, they have a choice. They have a choice. They can take birth there. They can take birth in the desert. They come back to the realm while the meditative state is still not degenerated, without degeneration. In fact, with path of seeing, all the 8 levels of the jhanas, they are already there. They will never degenerate in the case of bodhisattvas. Whereas for the Shravakas, Parita Buddhas, it's not necessary that somebody, even if you achieved arhatship, still you may not have these various jhanas. You should have the jhana related to the desire realm and jhana related to the first concentration. As long as you have that, it's good enough to achieve nirvana. Whereas they do have, some of them do have very advanced levels of jhanas, and some without the wisdom emptiness, still they have the highest of the jhanas. Various, even the peak of existence jhanas, they have. So the point is, for those who are deprived of the wisdom of emptiness, bodhicitta, with such a sophisticated jhana experiences, all these levels of jhanas accomplished, and then when this energy is consumed, then they'll come back. Whereas, say somebody is in the desire realm, no, that's the form realm, and without the wisdom emptiness, without bodhicitta, they think that this meditation on the form realm, formless realm, that is the nirvana. Some of them think like this. So with this meditation, they are say somebody in the form realm, they meditate on this, and then they can accumulate even more energy of the meditation, and they can go even further ahead. And at times, and some of them on the sensing that this is not actually, I thought it was nirvana, it is not nirvana. When they realize this, again, the afflictions arise, they come back. They come back meaning that they come back to the lower realms. Okay, this is one thing. Then the other one is like the bank deposit. That's very true. Say the bodhisattvas, generally speaking, in the formless, the Buddhas, they take birth, they deliberately go there in the form and the desire realm. And formless is not really the case. Formless, people are all very independent. The beings are very independent, right? So they are just absorbed in the meditative concentration, and with a very few exceptions of a very strong karmic connection with a particular Buddha, then by the power of the Buddha, they can be activated can be awakened from their meditative state. Very rare cases. Otherwise, in the formless realm, there are beings who achieve nirvana. They are. And not only formless, the highest level formless, there are people who achieve the nirvana. But it is said that in the formless realm, for the Shravakas and Parita Buddhas, bodhisattvas is separate. For the formless realm, for the Shravakas and Parita Buddhas, they cannot have the fresh realization of emptiness happening in the formless realm. This is where this is the greatest limitation. Fresh realization of emptiness, direct realization of emptiness. Fresh, direct realization of emptiness must happen in the desire realm. Once you have it, you can take birth there, you can have the non-dual experience of emptiness, they in the form of formless. That's possible. But the initial experience must take birth while in desire realm. Yeah. Okay, we'll stop here. Teja, do you want to say something?
I think her stanza was 47. The question that he asked.
Bengal is so basically deposit the merit, and on that basis, then you progress further. That's there. Yeah.
Let's turn to page 278.
A little louder.
Please turn to page 278. Additional dedication prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful, cherished cleansing Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends.
Hare Rave Korve Shigamso, Pena Dewa Manu Jumbene, Jere Sima Tenzin Gyatso, Shabe Zede Badu Tengyuroji.
Just as the brave Manjushri and Samanthabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example.
Jambu Bava Jidara Jambada, Kundu Sambo Teande Shinde, Deda Bunge Jesu Dato, Yawa Deda Damje Rado.
I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best. But the glorious one thus born of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds.
Dusum Jebe Gyawa Tamjege, Wawa Kala Chodo Mabati, Dage Gere Zawa Digun Gyan, Sambo Chuchi Rabdo Movareki.
May the Supreme Bodhisattva that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore.
Chanyu Sem Jore Boche, Mage Banam Ge Gyorochi, Ge Banyam Bame Baya, Kone Kondo Pevaraisho.
As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until the reality remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the dharma of teaching and realization. May I and all I, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 ways of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view and the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. The path of the union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the snowland. You are the lotus holded Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously.
Konye Nyeje Sundu Jube Lam, Cheje Seze Kanje Dendre Gun, Chana Pemo Tenzin Gyatso, Soha Debso Shendo Dendro Sho. Evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans, who are merits through perverted prayers, against the teachings of the Buddhas, be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. Nam Nobe Gyave Dembana, Kuve Najo Sojen Sumede, Samjo Nyembe Joba Madu, Chosum Dembe Zene Jugyuroje. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Thank you.